Hey, this is a combo video of sorts. I am in the midst of reading Travels in West Africa by Mary Henrietta Kingsley. I am on yet another chapter on fetish, chapter 15. I guess when Mary Henrietta Kingsley talks about fetish in West Africa, she's basic she's basically talking about the belief systems, the way of governing, their view of the afterlife, the way of dealing with misfortune in their lives of African people in this area. Some of it is really groan inducing. I actually just had a fairly cool story, I think, of saying like, well, why do people believe in this stuff when it doesn't even work? Well, it's like, well, why do you believe in a handsome cab just because one handsome cab fucks up? It's we all have beliefs that we hold on to get us through life. Going talking about and this last section here on in 65% way through in chapter 15 of a great medicine man who said that who was having he got sick, and so he did juju and it didn't work, and so he did more juju, and it still didn't work, and and finally he did the greatest juju he could make and availed not, and he knew he was dying, and so with his remaining strength he broke up and dishonored and destroyed all the fetishes in which the spirits lived and cast them out into the surf and died like a man, which obviously is, you know, Kingsley talking there. And then says, and then the horror came upon the people when they knew he had done this, and they burnt his house and all his things belonging to him, and cried upon the spirits not to forsake them, not to lay this one man's deadly sin at their doors. And yeah, that is interesting. That is really kind of Kingsley is a really good storyteller, even as I feel she is so wedded in her time and talking about the West African people. It's She starts off this chapter going, "Oh, people underestimate their intelligence, but they also overestimate their intelligence," which is just like, you know, it's and refers to them as savages and kind of and early cultures, and it's like, isn't it good that they don't have proper religion and atheism and theopathy, because they would be able to handle that, these people. So there's she is a good writer. She's a good storyteller. She's great at describing kind of the nature around her. um when we get to her discussing the West African peoples, it seems to be far more telling on her than it does anything else. And I continually think about this, like, I should really just find other sources, West African sources themselves, that talk about this time in history and what was going on here, just to give this book a bit more of a context for me. And this book was published in 1897. It kind of falls into my 1901, 1940, 1968 project. But, I was thinking about that and thinking, like, okay, just working on this little hunk of it would take me a month. Um, what makes me think is that if I'm going to do this project, I'm just going to do 1901 as my project for 2024. 123 years later, I'd like to just do a project, I think, for this year on 1901, because the amount of work and the amount of investigation I want to do uh, into this 1 year, or this area of this 1 year, it will take me 12 months. It will definitely take me 12 months, especially since I have a life. I've got other projects I want to do, and I also I have other books. I started a fantasy book that has nothing to do with this. You know why? Because it was fun, and that's a part of my year, is just having fun. So yes, I will have those other years. That's my thought. I guess I'll see how 1901 goes, but I think I will narrow things down. So this is why this is also a channel goals video, as well as check in with this particular book. This particular book, which I think I'm going to be soft on my interpretation of like 1901. 1897 is close enough to 1901 of like I'm just going to cherry pick things, 10 years before, 10 years after, within this realm, to talk about, cherry pick, that let my own interest go, and one of them can be talking about this book as a part of that, a part of what, attitudes of, this is a woman who comes from Britain, where my grandfather was born, dies just before my grandfather is born. Queen Victoria dies just before my grandfather was born. Just like have that little mix in there of like what this period was like when he was born. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna put that in there as well, and just go, okay, this is what it was like, and try and do a deeper dive into just this period for the year. There's so many videos, so many different things, ways I could kind of investigate this. So many different works. Kim, will be kind of probably can be one of the big fictional works, but various other things of like what was this time period like, and what were the attitudes, and what was the society like. There's the whole thing of her having to inherit money to be able to kind of break off and get to do this on her own. And being a woman doing stuff on her own in this period is kind of fascinating in of itself. So yeah, yeah, that was just a realization as I was reading this book of like, oh, this could take me a while. This could take me a while if I want to do it properly. And I'm probably not going to do it properly. I'm probably only going to do it half-assedly, but I'd like to do it properly. And a part of that will be trying to find some books about this West African area, that talk about this time period, and using that as context for, talking about this book that I've been slowly going through. And hopefully not all of my I'll keep on reading, like books that I'm going to read out loud will be 19 will I'll try and make it into this in this period, but I'll also just try and read books to myself because I can get through them a lot quicker, because it takes me a hell of a long time. This is actually a good book to read out loud, because I don't know how I would have dealt with this book if I just read it to myself. Reading it out loud forces me to kind of confront a book a lot more, in a way, which is good. So yes, I'll leave it there for right now. So combo video, be very efficient today.